everybody. Welcome to If These Walls Could Talk. I am Wendy Stuart, dancing for my life, and look who's back.
And I am Tym Moss, and I'm back on American soil.
He's back on American soil, away from the moors, away from Piccadilly Circus. Or circuit. Oh, my God. Whatever. A little Piccadilly between friends. Tim, it's so great to see you.
Oh, it's nice to be back. Definitely.
Yeah. In the homeland.
Wow, what an amazing trip. For those of you that don't know, my best friend Nancy Kuharski, we've been best friends since high school, and she has always loved England. Everything England. Her house is decorated English, and she just but she's never been to England. And so she and her husband had a conference in Poland, and I had always told her that when she goes to England for the first time, I would love to be there to experience it with her. So they came back to London, and then I flew into London, and then we kicked her husband out of London. And we told him to go home, go back to the States. And then she and I hung out in London for about 4 days, and then up to Edinburgh, Scotland for 4 days. And we had a ball. Oh my God, it was amazing.
It was 8 days, but yet it just, watching your pictures and stuff, it just definitely felt a lot longer, right?
Honey, I haven't even got started. I've got videos, I've got photos. I haven't even had a chance to post.
Can't wait to see it. So if you're friends with Tym Moss online, take a lookie, because he's going to be posting some, I know, really, really fun stuff.
Absolutely.
And then, I knew you were going to be at Theater for the New City. I was there on Friday night.
I saw you were there Friday.
I had such a wonderful time. And Evan Lawrence performed a new incredible act with a puppet.
Was that right? I saw online. I saw his video.
He made the puppet his husband, which was really smart. We all know how awful gay dating can be. What the hell? Create your own puppet. It'll say what you want, right?
Just do a Frankenstein and create your own.
I told they both had blue curly wigs, but it was not only extremely clever. I found out that Evan is an amazing ventriloquist. Did I say that right?
I did not know that.
You could see his lips move. And then I incorporated him into my act. I did that song, Johnny, Are You Queer?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I, of course, made Evan Johnny. But I tried something new this year. Besides singing my original parody, 99 Edibles, I did 5 minutes of stand-up, which went over really well.
Wonderful.
I know, but you never know. And especially there, because it's such a range of people.
Right.
You can't fall back on your laurels this is good for Generation Z. This is good for millennials. I'm like, what the hell? I'm going to throw the whole thing against the wall. And I did. And it went. I was happy.
Good.
It was fun. And Lady Clover Honey, of course, closed us out on Friday night. She did 3 songs. And it was just, I love that we have Theater for the New City. My God.
Right. Oh, they're wonderful. And Crystal Field, I just love her.
Really?
Yeah, I did the Johnson upstairs. I did a couple songs. It was I had talked to Crystal before, and she gave me a good time slot, at 9, because I said I'm just coming back from the UK. I'm gonna have jet lag. I'm gonna need to get home and get to bed. So it was packed in there, and there was standing room only. It was wonderful, and just such a receptive crowd, just thunderous applause, and it was absolutely wonderful.
And you know what, Tim? It always is there. I mean, that's the one thing. And then I have friends that came by. They had stuff going on all during the day, too. Crystal is really amazing. And again, a big shout out for what they do for New York City, absolutely. And the arts. And
the community for the Lower East Side.
Yes, for the Lower East Side community as well. Then I went to Pennsylvania because the LGBTQ, I'm a part of TriVersity. We were doing a garden party, right? The kind of thing.
I love that.
It was really incredibly well attended, and we raised money, which I didn't even expect to do. And of course we did the big raffle. I had an incredible gift because I had won a huge thing, like this wellness basket with the Imperial Court of New York at their event, Springtime in Paris. That thing made a ton. I hauled that sucker out to Pennsylvania. It was filled with so much stuff. And we all have way too much stuff. Don't you feel that way, Tim?
I agree. Yes.
So you know what? I raffled it off. It was really a good time was had by all. And then, of course, many of you who follow me on Facebook saw my close encounter with
I was just going to say, and you had a guest show up at your house.
Yeah, with a bear, and I wasn't at Rock Bar.
Bear.
That was a terrible joke.
And that was not a little cub either.
No, I wasn't at Rock Bar, and he wasn't dressed in leather.
Yes.
He was just in front of my house as I came out to do some plantings and things, and there we were face to face. And I'm like, okay, could you please move on? He looked at me, he took a couple of seats out of my bird feeder, and then he just moseyed off into the forest.
I love it.
I know, and I'm still here to talk about it, which is really, really great.
Wow. Now, last night I went to see Oh Mary on Broadway.
Yay, Bianca Lee.
Oh my God, Bianca Lee. Our friend Bianca Lee was just wonderful in that. But I have to tell you, Cole Escola.
Yeah, amazing.
Absolutely brilliant. And he wrote it and starred in it. And the timing, the delivery, the pacing, everything was absolutely perfect. And that theater was roaring all night.
Yeah.
From opening curtain to closing curtain. Just incredible.
And here's the thing, okay? Of all the shows that have been out there, that's the one that made it to Broadway.
Yeah.
That is probably, just in terms of casting and content and double entendres, the most radical in this political time we're in. And yet they are sold out every single night.
Absolutely. There wasn't a seat
all over the country, right?
There was not a seat in the place. I sat next to 4 guys from Delaware, from Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, that were now, I'm just chatting with them online. They're a barrel of fun. They are so much fun.
They were so handsome too. I saw the picture of them. But yeah, that show, believe it or not, is now representing mainstream. Okay, so this is definitely, people have to remember when they go and vote the next time, you know, what the good stuff is and how it affected you and where you're living. And I'll say no more.
I just, one last thing. I guarantee you will not be seeing Oh Mary at the Kennedy Center anytime soon.
You won't be. But what do we say? This is why we live in New York.
Yes.
And speaking of New York, our amazing guest today, I knew their name. I had heard their name. Our paths had crossed. They performed at Penny Arcade's birthday here at the amazing Pangea. And I'm very excited that our guest today is considered one of New York City's most prolific veteran composers, founder of the pioneering Indo-pop group Church of Betty. Please put your hands together for Chris Rael.
Yes.
Let's get into the hot seat.
I'm in.
Do you have enough room in there? Good. We're like,
yes, nice
good.
And hot.
It's a hot seat.
She always has good lighting. Has good lighting.
Yeah, it's always a good one.
Great. It's nice to see you.
You're laughing already. That's a good. We like when people come on laughing because it's a good time here, Chris.
You guys warmed me up.
Okay. Well, you know, I was saying from the get-go, you've just been a pleasure to deal with and warm and fuzzy. And I send you an email, and it's just, you spread joy. And I wanted you to know that I am not the only person, I'm sure, that tells you that, but you emanate that. Not everybody does, especially musicians, right? And performers can be intense or whatever. Tim and I love all of it, but you spread joy, so I wanted to.
Thank you so much. So do you.
Give you that. Yeah, well, I'm
so
like
do you. We just met.
I'm like little Mary Sunshine, and it's Mr. Mary Sunshine.
Mary, yeah.
So yeah, that's what it's about for us. So I first heard about Church of Betty, and just ride with me on this one. Stephanie Hall was on the show a couple of weeks ago. I love, that's another incredible human being, and she was telling me about Church of Betty, and I'm like, is this a church? I had actually heard of it because I guess some promos came up on social media, and she told me, and I'm like, oh, Chris Rael. I had his name down as someone I wanted on the show. The timing is really perfect.
Yeah, it's great.
But it's not a church.
It is not a church.
I'm not going to be redeemed.
It is not. Well, redeemed outside of the traditional deistic construct.
Tim, we can be redeemed for our sins, but.
So tell us about Church of Betty.
Well, it's a traditionally most of the time it's been like sort of like a little world pop orchestra, because I studied music in Varanasi, India in the 90s. And I played sitar, and I studied Hindustani singing with a very great vocal teacher, my Guruji. He died in 1998. His name was Balchandra Patekar. And came back playing the sitar, started making weird experimental songs using India. Like I didn't go over there to become like a master of raga. I went over there to steal every incredible sound that I could and bring it into my own composition.
But hold on, that alone, because the music that comes out of India, and again, there's many different types.
Yes, there sure is.
The tones that they use and the instruments, like the sitar, you know, is just, it's a totally different thing than what we have here.
It sure is. It sure is. And it's hard to use the sitar in Western music because the way the Hindustani music is structured is like it's all basically working scales within one chord pattern. So like in Western music, we change chord. So like what you do with the sitar in a Western song is you learn like every trick in the book for how to make it work against those chord patterns, because it's not really designed to do that.
Right.
Wow. So now tell us a sitar. Is that the long necked guitar like?
Yes, like Ravi Shankar.
Ravi Shankar, right?
He played the sitar, so you know, like just sitting on the floor. It's like got a long, wide wooden teak neck, and then like a big chord at the bottom. It's got 18 strings. 11 of them are just sympathetic. They just resonate with the notes that you play on the top 7. And
are the tones a lot also, and again, I'm not a musician, Tim is, he knows music, but is it a lot of it is in minor tones?
Well, it can be anything, and you work the space between the notes, like in a guitar or a piano. We go 1 2 3 you know.
Right.
You work all the space between those notes on a sitar, and they're expert at doing that.
That was what I was just going to ask you. So it's not just da da da. It's da 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 da.
Yeah, Tim's got it.
It can go all around in there. Wow.
Tim just demonstrated.
He did it. Tim, that was great. I got that. I told you Tim's musical.
Yeah,
that's so fabulous.
That's amazing. I mean, that would open up a whole new world for you musically.
It sure
does. Spent like 10 years there, right?
Well, not all in a row. I was like living here, and every year, whatever time I could get away. This was in the days when you could like find another job, right? You know,
right. Please come back and have a job.
Or sometimes people would like, come back in a couple of months is cool, or whatever. You know, different time. Right. So like some years, I would go anywhere from 6 weeks to 8 months, depending on what was
happening.
Wow, wonderful.
Yeah.
Tim, you know, I want to share this with you. I've been to Varanasi, and it's for my husband, Alan, late husband, used to say, that it's so incredible. That's where they go to burn the bodies.
Yep.
But it is every good Hindi person, you want to go to have your ashes put in the Ganges. And everyone bathes in the Ganges and everything else. But as I was saying to Chris, when I was there, I've never been at a place where I really felt there was nothing I could connect to. I felt like I had gone down a rabbit hole. And indeed, I did, because I started having, I'm not kidding you, spiritual encounters with cows. And the person who was taking me around just laid this whole thing on me and the cows and what they were thinking about. I know I can tell the two of you this. I have friends I've never told this story to, but it was wild.
So Vikari, is that the name?
Varanasi.
So Varanasi is kind of like a global spiritual center.
It is. It's probably
very powerful.
The most. There's seven
Powerful.
There's seven holy cities in Hinduism, and Varanasi is probably the most prominent one of those seven.
Wow.
Whenever you see photographs of like the pilgrims bathing in the Ganges River, most of those, there's other places along the river too, but most of those pictures are from Varanasi. There's also an absolutely enormous Muslim population there. It's probably about a third Muslim.
Yeah.
So you know, it's pretty cosmopolitan for.
But it's interesting. It's definitely again like a powerful spiritual.
Tim,
on the planet.
Yeah. You feel it when you're there. And again, I had one thing after the other happen to me there. By the end of the week, I really wanted to get out of there. I thought my brain was going to explode. First of all, the music that we're talking about, you hear that you hear that music everywhere.
That would affect you. Yeah, definitely.
And when you've seen pictures of India, when you see the holy men with their painted and the facial hair,
the sadhus.
Yeah, the sadhus, they're gorgeous. But if you ever try and talk to one, it's just like, whoa.
Oh, right, that's taboo, isn't it? Or
no,
it's not necessarily taboo, but like a lot of those guys don't speak English. So if you don't have like
you
a
have
little
to have
bit
somebody
of local language,
you need someone to go between.
They just kind of look at you like, who the hell are you?
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah. So what a big.
But now, when you were there, did you have like spiritual awakening well, even like musical awakening would be a form of spiritual awakening?
Actually, because the place is so associated with spirituality, I used to be asked that a lot in those days. But my thing was really all about music. My sitar teacher, it was just actually here a few weeks ago, Ravindra Goswami, and I would go over there, and for me it was just really all about music. And I loved the whole place, and but I didn't go and study spirituality per se. I didn't practice spirituality, so they come back and people would say, oh yeah, so you must be like really into that. And I'm like, no,
it was just about. I'm curious, did the Beatles have any do you remember, Tim, like the Magical Mystery Tour album? That was all about this, and they had found a new spirituality for them. You remember?
Yeah, sure.
Did that have any effect on you?
The
Beatles music,
Beatles? Well, actually, that's kind of interesting because I was a total Beatle freak when I was a teenager, and I loved the Beatles. But the George Harrison, more like Eastern flavored songs, they were kind of like the least interesting to me. I mean, like they didn't draw me, and I kind of found my way to India through my travel bug. I had ants in my pants in my 20s. I just traveled everywhere. And the first time I went there was actually my brother and I going through India on our way to Nepal to go trekking. And we stopped in Varanasi on the way just for a short time. It was completely overwhelming. We're like, wow, this place is really nuts. And then I got interested in India. I met a Hindi professor at Columbia. I was like trying to find somebody to teach me Hindi, and she let me sit in on her class there, and fell in love with one of her students. We became a couple, and she was in this international program to India, to Varanasi. So that's how I ended up getting to.
Wow,
that's interesting. The progression and how you got there.
Amazing, right?
Yeah.
Now was that something where you heard those tones and were just kind of drawn to like, what is that sound? Was it?
Yeah. The thing is, as you were just saying, Tim, earlier, it's like there's so many different types of music in India, and to be honest, like when I first got interested in the music, it was like less about the classical, music that we're talking about now. Like I got interested in the folk music, which is much more four on the floor rhythmically, like easier into a rock structure, So I got interested in the folk music first, but then I was introduced to these wonderful teachers over there, and they just changed my life.
Amazing.
Right, again, because it goes from, what is it, 13 tones in a scale to up to endless.
Yeah.
It's the endless scale that is the thing that really appealed to you.
Yeah, well, it was something that I took advantage of when I started learning about it, for sure. Yeah.
And now what about singing, like vocally? Do you?
I sing when I write songs now with, English lyrics, Western structured songs. I can't really tell myself because it's just so ingrained in me, but other musicians and friends who know about music and listen, they hear my training in how I deliver English lyrics, so like it kind of gives me just a little accent of my own.
Of course.
No, that's what I mean. Did you learn vocally in India as well?
Yes. Yeah.
Let's talk, because that's it. Like
right.
It has different tonalities and different
tonalities.
Are you sure you're not the guy that went over there and learned? Because you sound like
Tim is.
I'm just always. I'm fascinated. I'm a singer, so I'm fascinated with the vocal range of the globe, of the world.
You're on it.
You're totally on it. And when you listen to it, it can sound, I hate using this word, off key. That's such a Western word, but because our ear is not used to it.
We know what
exactly.
It can sound like, the person is off key. Wow.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little sample of a?
See.
Oh well, just a really simple one, so it's easy for people to hear. Like if you're singing like and a Western, you go but in this tradition, you work the space in between, so you go
That's it.
Yes. Oh my God, that's incredible.
And that's in Varanasi. That's what you hear in the streets. You hear those tones all the time. Wow.
Yeah, and just kind of dancing. They're just kind of always dancing up and down. Yeah, I love that. Love that sound.
Yeah.
Because I was trained here in America with the Western, stay on this note, go to this note.
Yeah.
You want to stay on the top of this note, and that. But I love that exploration of in between.
Yeah, isn't it nice?
Yeah, you know what? It really is nice. I'm curious, have people that have heard your music, Church of Betty, has it become controversial in any way? Because your sound is not only different. I'm a big Googler. I couldn't find anyone that could duplicate like a pop indie India sound, a pop indie India sound.
I think we've done it a little bit differently, because I had a big background in I was really interested in avant-garde, experimental, progressive jazz types of composition before I got to, and a lot of the players that have played with me over the years, boy, I've just been blessed with
Marlon Cherry,
just genius musicians. Deep Singh, my tabla player, is one of the greatest tabla players in the world.
Right.
And we could just go a little bit deeper, and because I had that sort of theoretical understanding from my training, we were able to kind of mesh these things together. But the important thing about doing that is that you want to do it. You want to do it with a lot of reverence, and make it fit together organically, as opposed to just have sort of a gimmick or a theme that you kind of paste a sound on top of a Western song, which is what a lot of people have done.
So you look for a hook.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure,
wow.
Yeah.
It's really incredible. Now, I started hearing about Church of Betty fairly recently. Did you relaunch Church of Betty or do a different thing? What path have you been taking with that?
Well, I had up until about 2000 and until the late noughties, we were really, really, really busy, all over the place, traveling around the world, blah blah blah.
Amazing.
And then I ended up having a son, it was sort of an unplanned thing that happened. I'm already like, you know, pushing 50, you know, and it just kind of changed my situation
Absolutely.
in a way where I you know, devoted all of my attention to, you know, being his dad.
Okay, I love that. I'm stopping for a minute. I love that you did that, because it was just 100% that was in your music. You took the responsibility that you brought a living thing into the world, and you're going to lay that love and energy on that child. Thank you.
Well, thank you. It's coming back to me in spades. This kid is amazing. My kid.
Yeah, he played here. He was playing for his birthday.
The thing I just adore about you is almost everything is so unconventional with you.
Right.
because everybody normally, you know, got to have that corporate job, got to go in at 9 o'clock, got to leave at 5 o'clock, got to do this, got to do that, got to do that. And it's year after year after year after year, and we get 2 weeks off, and we go out, or we're going to travel over to see the in-laws, and we're going, you know, like that's the typical thing. And you're just like, no, I'm making space for this child, and I love that. Just love it.
Thank you very much.
I love, Tim, though, that you're using the word we and talking about corporate. There's no we in this group. They ever did anything corporate, because we have always, I've never done anything but what I'm doing, or what, you know, we dance to our own.
I'm saying, like, in your music, in your life, in everything, you follow your heart. You follow humanity. Thank you,
Tim. I love that. You follow, follow humanity.
You follow your humanity, and that is what a piece that is missing in our society, dreadfully missing.
I agree with you about that. I've just been trying to get by and take care of everybody. And the thing is, like, now it's coming back to me musically, because after being pretty quiet these last 7 years or so, I have I've written a new song cycle. It's like sort of based on the short stories of the author Richard Yates.
Yes.
And I had a show that people enjoyed a lot, like in 2009, 2011, called Araby, that was like sort of retold the short stories in James Joyce's Dubliners in like one song per story. And I did that again with Yates. I got in touch with his daughter. She gave me her blessing to let me do.
Are you kidding? Wow.
Yeah.
Richard Yates, his daughter.
Yeah, she lives in Detroit. And so I put together, I brought back like some of my wonderful old bandmates from Church of Betty, Marlon and Cherry's in it, Rima Fand, Matthew Gerke.
Oh, great.
And the bass player is a new friend of wonderful guy. His name's Ethan Rosenblatt. And the drummer is my son, my 15-year-old son, Sasha.
Oh. I know, right, Tim? But that's
even better.
Yeah, we just did our first show at Caveat a couple of weeks ago. And it was like sold out, and all these great old musician friends were there, all saying, "Yeah, Sasha, he's kicking it." Yeah,
Tim, we actually have the piece I want to play today is from the video. So let's do it. That's exciting.
Ready on the right, ready
You guys were having fun up there.
Yeah, right, Tim?
That's what it's all about.
Tim, you know what I really loved? There's a lot of blending of different sounds.
Yeah.
A lot of people on stage, you know, and it's like layers of sound and rhythm, and it's just great.
Thank you so much.
And super uplifting, which is something we all need now.
It sure is. It sure is. Boy, there's been it feels to me like there's been a real resurgence of like creative activity. We Church of Betty is not the only band that was busier 15 years ago than it is now. It is coming back out right now. I'm going around and seeing shows and like there's all this energy.
Well, and the Ruminators, you know them, right?
Oh, yeah. Very pleasant neighbor, life in a blender. All these groups, and I think it's like it's cathartic. It's like a healing thing in the face of everything that everybody is like living in the world.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that's interesting to me, like, you know, Sasha's playing with you now, and you got the person that you're using their music. You approached their daughter in Detroit, you know, paying this forward with the kids is really great, because there's so many amazing people that have been out there since the 80s that are still playing, and we need to keep that going.
I agree. 100%.
This is not about hanging up one's toe shoes anytime. Like you're a freaking musician, man. You're making music till the day you die.
Yeah.
Right?
Die on stage.
That'd be great. Tim, don't you want
to be the way to go? The way to go.
On stage, right?
I'm one for evolution. Now, you grew up in Maryland, is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
And what part of Maryland?
Silver Spring, just outside of DC.
Okay.
Yeah, you're close. Yeah.
Near the capital of the entire United States, or of the world. Yeah. That's an interesting place to grow up. Is that where you discovered your love of music?
I did love music. My parents didn't. They weren't musicians, but they loved music.
You heard music
there is a lot of culture in DC. You know, it's the center of the country. Like when I was I went to the University of Maryland, which is also in that area.
Big school.
And me and my friends, we spent a lot of time, like at that time, like the Adams Morgan neighborhood in DC was like an Ethiopian community, and you go down there, food, music, you know. And it's like New York has traditionally been, where you have like a lot of like little enclaves of different ethnicities. You know, like all the embassies are there. So there's people from everywhere in DC.
And I'm sure it was influencing you, because look at what happened. You couldn't wait to hit the road.
Yeah. That's true.
You know, when you grow up.
And then you came to New York, and you put the band together?
I moved up here in 1986. I was like 25 years old. And just started, and I had met New York area musicians down there at recording studios. We became good friends. One of them, my friend Eric Miranda, he lent Sasha the drum set that he learned on. You know, like I started.
Amazing.
And so like so I started like playing with them, and it just kind of evolved into Church of Betty. This was before I didn't go to India for the first time until 88. So I was up here like getting started. So there was like sort of like a foundation of non-Indian stuff before I started layering that into it.
And you were doing it here in the 80s, where you could do it.
You
could do it back then.
That's one of the things that attracted me to New York, because I knew I could come up here and do anything that I wanted.
That's what it was like here.
For it.
And you played at CBGB's.
Oh yes, I did.
Tell me about that, because I never got to play there.
It was great. It was an incredible sounding place. Like I remember, like the first time I played there, like I had a little indie record label called Fang Records. And we wanted to launch our first record like with a show of like 4 Fang bands, and we took it to CB's, and Hilly, the owner, he was just there in the front with like Louise, his assistant.
Amazing story.
And you walk in the middle of the day, and it's like they're just there, and it's like, what do you want to do? And it was just like talking to somebody like at a little joint in Topeka. and they just did it old school. They were open to all kinds of things. He was like, had a gruff personality. It wasn't like he came in and was like,
right.
Exactly.
But he was, Chris is bringing up a time in New York, right, Tim, when anything went, you could have come here and asked to perform, and that would have been it. It was so different. It's so different.
Well, and again, at that time, they encouraged creativity. They encouraged you to be different. They encouraged you to be extreme. They encourage, they welcome all of that. Yeah. Rather than now, it seems so marketed and
it is
stay and fit in these little boxes constantly.
Yeah, it's corporatized now.
Yeah, it's corporatized. She worked at the Knitting Factory.
Oh yeah,
and that's another
Knitting Factory. Yes.
We were part of the first wave of people through the original Knitting Factory on Houston Street
before they
went down to Leonard.
Leonard Street.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you've really hit a lot of classic downtown New York.
We did. Yeah. We used to play online all the time. Alan Pepper loved us. That was my favorite room in all of New York.
Really?
Where? I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Where was that?
The bottom line.
Oh, bottom line. Yeah.
Alan Pepper, the bottom line.
Yes. Yeah, and you had like Village Gate and Bitter End, all of that right in there.
All of it,
yeah.
That was those were the days, man.
You rolled like through that and then into the 90s. And that's when I came here in the late 70s, which was not all that different from the 80s, except the big line of demarcation, of course, and on the Lower East Side too, AIDS. It was taking people out left and right. It was something none of us knew how to deal with, right? Yeah. So in the 90s, mid 90s, right, they were starting to come up with what they call the cocktails. Yeah. But a lot of us, myself included, were so damaged about the amount of loss. What was it like for you, like mid to late 90s? What were you doing at that time?
Actually, I was spending a lot of time in India at that time.
Wow.
And I'd come back and we were doing the band here, but I was working with a lot of artists. I made an album with a couple of old collaborators of mine, Jonathan Feinberg, who was the drummer in Church Betty for a long time, and a composer who's based out in LA now named Brian Woodbury. And we were all interested in old Hindi film music from the 1950s.
Oh my God.
And we
that's a genre.
Church Betty performed at an Indian music festival in Vienna in 93. And I met one of my idols, like a singer named Najma. She was a London-based great Indian singer, and we made a record with her doing these sort of like contemporary progressive remakes of old Hindi film songs from the 1950s.
Wow! How cool was that? Wow!
So like it was like really up to my ears in that and stuff, and then I met Penny in 1997.
97. Wow.
So,
enter Penny, enter our dear friend Penny Arcade.
Right.
Creative wonder.
Both like prolific. I mean, Penny is like never stop working all over the world. Never stops.
What did you call her earlier before we went on the air? Genius, feminist.
She was really ahead of her time, a feminist genius before anybody else was, but also in terms of her talent, her creativity. And knowing that the two of you had been married, the creativity and the talent, was it like this big thing? Because I can't imagine, you're both so intense in your art.
We are, but we were absolutely, completely, and still are 100% unconditionally supportive of each other.
Yes, and I love hearing that.
Love that. Yeah.
Wonderful, right? Yeah, as artists, you're both such incredible artists, and I mean, I always say this all the time. We're so lucky to have Penny. I don't think that people realize, like, certainly, mainstream, they've heard of her, but they don't get like bigger than freaking life.
Oh, she sure is.
And such a force. Incredible. So the two of you were together for a bit, and then you. Yeah.
Well, we're still.
You still have each other's backs, right?
We're really close. Like
Right.
she's my person.
She's your person. Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally love hearing that. I know Tim does too.
Yeah.
So you know, we've gone from the 90s, now we're in 2000.
Yeah.
Well, now we're dealing with like the world really changing. 9/11 happens. How did that affect you?
Oh my gosh. Well, Penny and I are the apartment where she still lives on Stanton Street. We were there, and we watched the towers come down our roof, you know, and
oh my God,
we were right kind of in the middle of it all.
You take that with you. You carries forward the rest of your life.
It sure does. It sure does. It still feels like 10 minutes ago to me.
Right. Thank you for saying that, because I carry it with me. We currently New York, and I know Tim agrees, a lot of the people that have moved here, man, they're not connected. They don't give a hoot. They will never be connected. They didn't live through those times. But you know what? Even if they did, the people who were here then are not the people that are here now. And you know, when you get your music out there, like, I'm so glad Church of Betty it's resurrected. Church has been resurrected.
Give them back to church.
Now, you seem, a lot of the musicians you work with are people that you've known.
Yeah. It's real. That's a really important part of it. Like,
I agree.
Like, I can honestly say, this is not hyperbole,
you know,
that like over the decades I've been doing this group, and the couple of dozen people that have been integrally involved in it, I love every single one of them like they were part of my own family. Every single one.
I get that.
And that's what makes it good, you know, because you can have people who are talented. Talent is important, obviously.
Right.
But when the people who are doing it care about each other like that, then it meshes together in a different way. It makes a difference, right, Tim?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you stay in touch with them, and you take them with you. You know, we're strong believers in that. But in this new New York,
because New York just seems, it's been sanitized. Like so much of the rest of our country and our culture and our country is it's again. I'm so glad, it's so refreshing to talk to somebody who was here for the raw, the grit, and how do you explain that to these people that are just moving in to get a high rise, you know, in a nice clean new place in a high rise that mommy and daddy's buying, and you know
well, back like in the early 2000s, like one thing that like one line of Penny's is she would say in
cultural amnesia.
Yeah, it was like now when people who come to New York, they want New York to be like where they're from.
Right. I remember the show she said it from, and she does use the phrase a lot, cultural amnesia. The first time I ever heard it was her singing it on stage. I'm like, that's pretty brilliant. That is exactly what it is.
Yes,
because when I was a child, my grandparents, I grew up in Indiana. My grandparents were in Florida. So we would drive down and back, you know, once a year. And I remember when you would cross the state line, you could tell you were in Kentucky, and then you could tell you were in Tennessee, and then in Georgia, and then Florida had its own flavor. But now I went back. I used to drive my father back and forth. He had a place in Florida for the winter. So I would go out and drive him down, and it's all interstate highway, and you can't tell when you pass into the next state, into the next one, into the next one. Every exit has a McDonald's, a Burger King. It's got the same hotels, the same. It's exactly the same everywhere. It's so sanitized.
Late stage capitalism.
Right.
Yes. There's no flavor. There's no originality anymore. And it's so sad. That's what we have to be.
God damn it. We're here for that.
I thank you for being original and creative.
Thank you for doing what you're doing. Now you've worked with, of course, a number of people we've had on the show. John Kelly, for one.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love John Kelly.
Beautiful man.
A beautiful man and a genius. And loved having John on the show. And I've gone to John's shows. You've also you've worked with the Cosmetics.
I've done some.
So that was
not so much with the whole band. It's really Frank is my guy.
What have you done with Frank?
Oh, I've just played sitar in a couple ensembles he put together for some
wow.
he was developing, and he's played on a few tracks. Played on a movie soundtrack that I made.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That music again is just really different music.
Yeah. Frank is brilliant, and he's like such an important person in the community of musicians who play across cultural boundaries and stuff.
So
really
is that a category unto itself, would you say?
In my mind it is. In my mind it is, because like most of Frank's music is obviously associated like with Jewish music.
Yeah.
I'm associated with India. Everybody's got their little thing, but everybody plays together and it all crosses over and melts down, I love that. That's most interesting.
I agree.
Yeah. That's the beauty of music, is it's global, it's universal. We're all family in music. Yeah.
That's right. Like one type of music that I really know nothing about is like Far East Asian music and stuff. Mm-hmm. But a friend of mine in the band, the Mommy Heads, Adam Cohen, he was like in Japan recently, and he was like describing what it was like to go into a place and hear like Korean music, and he's just making these. He's like, it's like, he's like just kind of making light of it, but with the understanding that it's just another language.
It's just another language of sound.
Right.
So like there are like worlds of possibility every direction you turn.
But now that you brought that up, I'm thinking about Far East Asian music, and then I'm thinking about the sitar and India. There are tones in both of those cultures that definitely overlap.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of the music they create,
yes,
we're kind of like in the music we have here. We're like kind of like a musical theater show. Right, and poppy, and we don't use as much of that in our music.
Yeah, well, like what distinguishes us for them, I'm sure, is how Western music uses chordal systems to support the melodies, because like
Tim would know about that.
In India they don't do that.
Right.
It's like a tonic, it's a drone, and then they build the melodies off of one chord.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
But for them, like are they hear
it's more movement than chord structure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow, that would be amazing. That's a whole completely different brain pattern to it.
Uh-huh. It sure is. That's like one of the amazing things about spending time, someplace else, is your brain starts to adjust to other ways of doing these things. And it's the same thing with like Hindi, like with language, like Hindi. You know how English has like a million exceptions to every rule, grammatical rule. Hindi is like super regular. But what makes it challenging for a Westerner to learn to speak it is differentiating between the sounds, because they have like a much broader number of consonants that they use, like where they have like they're like one is like D, like you have duh, or you put a little breath in it, duh. It's a different,
depending on the breath, putting a breath in it.
I mean, two completely different things.
And then one with
hard.
a little R flick, and if you mix these things up, you sound like a fucking idiot. Sorry.
And God only knows what you're calling the person.
Really.
Right.
I didn't mean it, but I'm very impressed. I'm sure Tim is too, that you learned this.
Yeah.
I never became a great Hindi speaker.
But you can speak some. But you can speak some of it. Like if you go to Varanasi, you can say stuff.
I would I would get some of it back. My Guruji died in 1998, and I haven't been back since. So it's been a long time.
Sorry, that's a great loss.
It's been a long time.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but Hindi, like kind of like the music we were talking about, it has a completely different base structure to it, right? Like a lot of Eastern, because we're all Western, like Europe and like Italian and Spanish and all English and all of that is from the same base. It comes from the same way of thinking, whereas like Hindi, Chinese, Japanese comes from a different.
Totally.
It's not like this and phonetic and this and that. It like we're taught.
The grammar functions totally differently. The word order is completely different than a Western language. So so you have to like kind of like learn the basics, but if you can get a handle on the basics, it stays pretty regular. So do a little bit of the back end.
Has the music out of Bollywood influenced you at all?
Oh yes,
yeah,
yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
I love Bollywood films.
I do.
What is it? What is it about that music?
Well, actually, Bollywood music is really interesting. I should just to be transparent, you know, like all the Bollywood music that I know is really old now. You know, like the contemporary Bollywood, I think maybe is
very commercial.
It's a little bit more like Western music.
Yeah, it is very much.
Right.
In the 50s and 60s and 70s, one of the things that was fascinating about the music from Bollywood was that a lot of it was like them trying to rip off English songs. So like when we made this record with Najma in the 90s, it was like us ripping off Indian rip-offs of
the
I love it. That is really very funny. Is that on YouTube? Can that be like Google?
Sure.
Then we could find it, or maybe you can send us a link to it. I would love to just listen to it. You know?
Yeah, I'd love for you to hear it.
Yeah,
it's really great. It's a great record. I'm very proud of it.
Wow.
Now, how can people find out more about you? You have your website, which I think is down below.
Yeah, I have 3 URLs all attached to the same org. It's like chrisrael.org, churchofbetty.org, fangrecords.org.
Yeah.
We'll all go to the same.
Okay.
And
so Chris Rael, that's Rael. Is that right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, TYM.
With a Y.
Church of Betty at Bandcamp. So churchofbetty.bandcamp.com.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's all of our music. Like I don't. The Najma one is not because like that's like at a different label, but like most of my music is there. Yeah.
Very cool.
Isn't that weird? Like again, people used to have to get ready, get on the train, go downtown to CBGB's to walk into a place to order a drink to watch you, and now they can just push a button. And you know,
like
better in the room though.
Yeah, I was going to say, how's that like conceptually? Because when people have time traveled, as we all have, and we're dealing with now, I'm curious how, you know, there's great things about now, right? Because you can build audiences that can't travel down to see you. But how is it for you? What do you love
about what's happening now?
And about being a musician and how you communicate.
Well, it's just it's just about sharing life with other people who care. You know, like and I'm very grateful for like all of the electronic ways we have to be in touch with each other.
Yeah,
now,
we do.
And that's all great.
Right?
But like with this resurgence of like live and stuff, like that's what it's really all about.
We agree.
Man.
We totally agree.
There's nothing like that. There's nothing like being in a room with people that you like and sharing something like this.
And for me personally, I mean, I've been told different things, but I can go in and record a song and release it and do all of that, and it's good. Everybody's, oh, I love that. But when you see me in the same room singing that song and giving the energy and the meaning behind it, that's a big difference.
That's another whole other ballgame.
Yeah.
That's what I love.
Both for the performer and for the people that are watching. It does both, both ways. When it's live. So what have you got upcoming that you can share? So if anyone's listening, they know.
Well, like we're working on a date with a couple of other groups that I've known for many, many years. Mommy Heads, Johnny Society. It's going to be September. I just should say it's the. Actually, I should probably just not say it yet because it's not confirmed.
Okay, don't say it right. We don't know that.
But it will be soon, and then I'll be bugging everybody about it. I've got a big mouth.
And it'll be on your website.
Yes,
there'll be people can go to your website. It's not going to be
September.
And do we have some more Church of Betty coming up? Because I missed the last one. I had it marked in my book and I couldn't get there.
That will be it. My son Sasha, his mom is a Bulgarian singer named Vlada Tomova, and they're going to be spending the summer in Bulgaria. So Church of Betty's a little break,
hiatus.
I'm going to do some writing, and then when he comes back, we'll go back into it. Yeah.
Love
Oh,
that.
Gary, oh my God, this kid's so lucky. Musical parents on both ends, you know.
And global understanding and
thank you, Tim.
Yeah. I've been over there a few times with them when Sasha was younger, but like they go every year. I'm super supportive of him getting to have that in his life.
It's a totally different culture too.
Yeah.
They have a great film industry over there. I'm sure you knew about that, right?
Yeah.
A lot of films that you see have actually been shot over there because it's a hell of a lot cheaper, and they have that complete infrastructure.
It's I mean, every place, you know, like if you live there all the time, there's like stuff about it that's challenging, of course, but like as a visitor to the country, it's just a wonderful, wonderful place to visit. It's a beautiful country. Everybody that I know there is just salt of the earth. You know? Yeah. It's really great.
Have you ever musically played over there?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Chris, so having you here today.
We have a couple people that are tuned in. That
yes,
my dear friend Arnold Rodriguez says he's watching from Miami. Hello.
Hi, Arnold.
And Rose Trentman, our good friend Rose Trentman, and she says hello, my dear friends. She was the first female boxing commissioner for women's boxing. Yeah, in the United States.
She still has a hand in it. She's going around.
Yeah, she was just out with I forget who it was, a boxing champion from
someone that should have gotten an award that didn't, and Rose made sure this time they went to Vegas and everything. I love it, you know.
Wow.
So, and also our dear friend Suze Genero, she's a designer from Massachusetts, says hello, dolls. Great show today. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Sue.
So
thank you to everybody who tuned in and left comments. You know, a lot of people they'll leave comments afterwards to me. I'm like, why didn't you comment during the show?
And it's Chris Rael. Thank you for being so real.
Yeah, I like that too.
On your name, but
thank you. It's just been a total pleasure.
But yeah, just thank you for being who you are and just being so authentic and human and you got your priorities right. Yeah, you know, let me just say that. Yeah. Your priorities in this life.
Just
back to you guys.
Keep us in your family. Tim and I go, you know, that's the reason I can't get to everything. I meet people doing these shows and I try and commit to things. So I do whoever asks me, commitment's a commitment, and then I don't get to other things. It's like ridiculous, but
it is New York.
How lucky is Tim that we get to live this life?
Yeah, that's right.
No matter what is going on out there, you know, I get together with friends who are like, oh my God, it's the oh woe is me thing, or they take and put a black square where their Facebook picture was. And you know what? We're both real activists, but I don't got time for the black square. I got to be out there moving, shaking. If I am, I can make things happen politically.
Yeah. She just, what was that, last night or something? You shot me a message. You said, this is going on this date, and I'm like, I'm in. Let's go.
Yeah, right. Tim is we're always that's what we're about.
I went to a show last Tuesday that I did not play in. Two friends' bands playing. They hadn't played together in a long time, and there was no political context or tone or message involved in what they were doing. Just two bands doing a set. Right. And I'm looking around, and all these people who knew each other for many years all gathered there, feeling this energy.
Thank you.
And I'm sitting there thinking, this is a political act.
Yes.
Come together.
That is the resistance. You're exactly right.
That's where it starts, because that's what they want to. That's what they want to write.
Right.
Yeah.
They've been sowing the division, and that's what music does, is it brings the people together.
Right.
And that's what we need.
And that's exactly what you said. You know, more and more of those bands are more and more performing live. That's what it's about. Get out there, do your thing. Okay, we can change the world.
Let's do it.
Thank you, everybody.
Chris, thank you so much, Chris.
Tim, so great to see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.